theory, yes, but in practice, no, because there's too much magic zipping around.
Okay.
Yeah, the closest we've got to something like that would be a Garen's Dragon Ward, which keeps anything out that's draconic except for those that have been accepted in.
Okay.
So you've got some of the Lord Dragons or whatever they're called now.
Okay. So it's not going to set off an alarm saying whoop 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 10th level wizard whoop whoop.
At least not on the city level. Blackstaff Tower might have something like that. In fact, under Kelvin's reign, I'm sure it did.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, if that alarm is going off constantly, after a while you start ignoring it.
And that's why Blackstaff Tower always has 50 plus apprentices on hand.
But let's go back to Brian's specific example.
Yeah, specific.
So if you walk into Waterdeep with an iron flask filled with something in it, right? What are the motivations that people are going to have? Well, there's some people who don't care who's in it. They just want the iron flask itself because they have somebody else they want to put it in, right? There's going to be some groups who want the thing that's in it, and there's going to, released, right, either to be a distraction or something else. And there's going to be some groups that want the iron flask with the thing still inside, because then they can sell the creature, whatever it is imprisoned, and those are just the groups that want the flask in particular. Then there's the groups that are, watching for another group to go after something so that they can counterattack them while they're exposed, and then there's the lords trying to hold the peace and security together. So by the time you got to North Ward, I'm not sure you'd ever make it there.
and you're not even counting in the people who just want to see Waterdeep harmed on some level in some way, and so they're just watching to see what mischief they can unleash. Because it's a bother to Waterdeep and not them. And that's probably Daggald Neverember up in Neverwinter.
and if you really want to throw some fun into it too, you could have a loony street preacher who's been prophesizing, if let's say the devil named Dagon,
maybe?
no, let's say the devil named Dagon with the wrong name is in the Infernal Flask. This guy's been prophesizing the return of this devil for years. It's the kind of thing like, a stuck clock. Every once in a while he's right, just by chance. But you walk into the city with him in this, and he's out there claiming that this devil has returned to Waterdeep finally. And, he actually gets the prophecy right by accident. And your players overreact to that statement. There's a lot of ways you can have fun with this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Are you taking notes, George? Because I think he's hinting at something for our campaign.
I was seeing that. The subtle hand there.
I would never do that.
The sandwich board, God. Sandwich board Armageddon guy, Brian said. The end is nigh. The end is nigh.
Repent!
I was actually, that reminds me, I was actually back in the old days of the RPGA and the Living City and Polyhedron. I had written up an NPC, old something or other, some name, old whatever, who was just considered a ranting lunatic and would just march around the streets and, just rant and rave about all sorts and stuff. And he was basically
me with his cosmic ray gun today.
but he was a front for the Thieves Guild, basically. And so he would be the diversion that Ed talked about much earlier in the podcast, where if you wanted to undertake a theft in one quarter of Raven's Bluff, old whatever would be ranting and raving and causing a commotion in the opposite part of the city to draw attention away from what you were doing. And so, I think that would fit just as well in Waterdeep, that trope. Very easy.
Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so we're in the dock. We're out of the dock ward now, I think, aren't we? We're still in the dock ward.
No, we're still in dock ward. But actually, there was another good question I saw on the list.
Where's this list? I'm not seeing any of it. But
on the Twitch.
Oh, you have to be on the Twitch stream to see the.
Okay.
All right. So the question was, I'll say the original question, then I'll expand on it a little bit. They were basically asking, if I can find it now. how to use suggestion spell or similar types of magics to spread rumors. But I think that's maybe a larger question is if you're the bad guys and you want to spread rumors about the adventurers, or if you're the adventurers and you want to spread rumors about either yourself or somebody else. You've just shown up in Dock Ward. How do you do it?
You go to the right taverns, the wrong taverns.
And the right tavern is?
It depends on who you're trying to spread. You see, here's the thing. If you're trying to spread a rumor about the salacious behavior of a noblewoman, in Dock Ward, that's just sort of titillation, not to make a pun. It would be just entertainment for fun.
Right.
Because they know that all noblewomen are like that anyway, because it's the stereotype and whatever. But if you wanted to actually do damage socially and have something that has an impact, you would be doing it up in North Ward or Sea Ward.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, where the people that this noblewoman cares about live and hang out. Mm-hmm. So the right place to do these things depends on your quarry every time.
But
how do you go about hiring that? How do you get that rumor started? Do you go to a rumor monger? Do you go to
the best way is to do it yourself. To have the loud, apparently drunken but not really conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this because they're out of business now. There was this brokerage firm in the United States of America who used to put on TV ads, and the tagline was, "When E.F. Hutton talks, everyone listens."
Yeah.
And they do all those ads where people are saying, "Well, the price of gold is dropping." Well, my broker's E.F. Hutton, and then silence falls, and everybody in the room, or everybody on the airplane, or everybody on the bus, is listening intently. And the two of them look up and they realize everybody's saying, "Okay, you're trying to arrange that without being obvious about it." Because you know that Waterdeep is full of paid spies and informants, and some of them are not what you and I would call professionals. Bond, James Bond. They're not that sort of thing. They're the street urchin who is earning a copper coin by running 3 blocks and going up to a guy in a bar and saying, "I just heard in such so-and-so was saying, and it was a guy with a blue beard, and he was talking about da-da-da." "Oh, okay. Here you go, kid." Yeah. Well, that's dinner to that kid.
Yeah.
So he just earned it. And some of the spies are informants just like that. But they're all over Waterdeep. So the idea is not how you're going to disseminate it. That's dead easy. The idea is how can you craft it so that the guy that the kid runs it to says this is worth passing on. This might be onto something, instead of this is somebody trying to plan a rumor, or who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
Lord Blatterblat slept with his 13th woman of this. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way, if you want to start the rumor and get it going, mention to 1 or 2 different sailors on the ship you're on coming into the city, whatever you do, don't tell a soul about this.
Yes, yeah.
And you've just guaranteed that it's going to be all over the docks inside of 12 hours.
Yep.
Right.
Sorry, 4 bells.
4 bells. That's right, 12 bells.
So you can do all that without casting a single spell.
Yep.
The old-fashioned way, word of mouth.
Yep. In fact, word of mouth is better because, I mean, we get this distorted view because we are concerned with adventures. The magic is not only cheap and plentiful and falls from trees and everything, but it's worth doing it. And we've got to take the businessman's point of view. What's my profit margin on this? What's my ROI, my return on investment? And magic is going to cost more than having some kid spread a rumor. Always, inevitably. So, and the other thing is, you would want to save the magic thing for the really important things, not wasted on everyday stuff.
Let me ask you this question. I have a question about the company of Crazed Ventures.
Yes.
How often would you have a session where they didn't draw a sword and they didn't cast a spell?
Most of them.
And
because
what were they doing? Because a lot of 5e
they
players
all
have to
had
do it
day
every time.
jobs.
Yep.
They all had day jobs. They all realized they were in Waterdeep and they wanted to make a buck on the side with a side fiddle. So they were investing in this merchant, investing in that cargo that was heading out by caravan to Scornubel or was going on a ship. Or they were trying to buy something low and turn around and sell it high in a hurry, not get stuck with it, but unload it before anybody else could get stuff of that thing. Or they would try and manufacture a shortage, perhaps a rumored shortage as opposed to a real one, so that they could make a killing on a, and by make a killing I mean a very slight margin on the sale of something. But because they knew about it, they will buy up all the harps in a particular district and then resell them in a hurry, or that sort of thing. I'm making something up that would be far fetched, but that sort of thing. And they were trying to increase their contacts all over the city of Waterdeep, and I was feeding them a steady Star Wars cantina full of weird characters for them to bounce off of, so they would build their contacts. And they'd say, "Hey, what about that guy with the rhinoceros nose that we met like a 10-day ago? Is he still hanging around?" Funny you should say that, because when you whirl around just now and you ask that, there he is over there, and he's watching you. He's leaning against the wall half a block away with a friend. His friend is just bristling with the hilts and pommels of all sorts of blades. You've never seen so many swords weighing down a guy before. And this beautiful woman just came up to them, and she looks like she's dressed to kill. And wait a minute, you recognize her? She's a servant for the Hightower noble family or whatever. And now she's in a hurry. She said something to her, and now she's in a hurry, and she's beetling off north to where the Hightower mansion is. What's going on? And you just move on to the next thing, having dropped about 8 of those, because you're leaving the player characters to decide which one they're going to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd already learned the hard way over and over again. Don't split up the party. Don't try and follow them all, because you'll die.
Could you say that louder, Ed?
No, we never split up the party. Never.
Is that a bad idea to split a party?
Yep.
So how many DM points do you get if they split 4 ways?
Yes. I can see this. Oh, never mind. That's a digression and a half.
Oh
Yep.
boy.
But yeah, to answer your question, that's what you do, and they spend all their time not only trying to figure out new adventuring opportunities, so I didn't have to feed them as a dungeon master. They were trying to figure out, okay, in winter, when Waterdeep really slows down, because a lot of the rich people take off for parts south, and the harbor ice is up and trade cuts down, we can go adventuring. So, where are our best things? We've been gathering intel all season long. Where's a good place we can go on an adventure? So they were doing all that in their play sessions. They were like interacting with the city, and I was just sitting back as a dungeon master and playing the city. And at the end, they weren't bored, or they didn't think they'd wasted hours at the gaming table, because they were doing what they wanted to do. They were running the game. They were going where they wanted to go. So they didn't feel dissatisfied. We only got 2 rooms and half of us died, or it was almost a total party kill. There's none of that. Because
that never happens at all.
Yeah. Because they were running the show. So they felt they had a great play session, very satisfied, and they'd all, get their coats and boots and head for home, thinking that was a great play session. I'm just thinking, yeah, it was. We spent 4 hours doing bloody nothing, but it was great.
You never rolled a die, right?
Sounds like they were just people watching, and you just had to provide the people.
That's right.
That's
I
right.
was playing the city. Yeah,
that's right. So there's another question on here that something we had talked about together, Ed, a few weeks ago. If an adventure, look out. If an adventurer wanted to start buying tall houses in Dockward and then renting them out, what would the building cost to purchase, and how much would they receive in rents per month, and how much tax would they pay per year?
All together now, it depends. Okay, what era are they in? Because like everything else, costs and taxes go up over time.
Blueberries, I'm not sure.
And the other thing is, how many other people in Waterdeep are actively trying to become landlords and in competition with them? Depending on your era, there could be tons and tons of noble families trying to do this as their income from their crops on their country estates was falling due to weather, due to encroachment, due to marauding monsters that they might want to hire adventurers to take care of. And who was getting into being a landlord, and therefore how much competition they had, and therefore how much were the lords unofficially watching over this people trying to become landlords and just putting innocent, in quotation marks, innocent roadblocks in the way. Oh, you're going to have a permit for that. Oh, we have an inspection. Oh, our inspectors are really busy. That's going to be another month before they can get around to inspecting. You can't rent it until we inspect it. And all that stuff, the red tape. And by and large, the answer would be it's not that difficult because everybody's trying to do it. The flip side is it's like an overheated real estate market in our real modern world where they're not making any new land between the mountains and the sea. So the value of the land is going up because of tax thingies. Things that you encounter in large cities in the United States where very expensive retail real estate is sitting empty because nobody wants to pay that ground rent. Right. And there are very good reasons because you borrowed money against the building where you don't want to lower the rent and let somebody in. But there are also cases where you are allowing pop-ups in, pretending that they're breaking in and being illegal because you don't want to admit to the bank that you're letting somebody in for a lower rent. But it's really nice to have somebody in using the place so that it isn't getting vandalized and squatters aren't in it. And sort of all that is fiddling is going on at a great rate in Waterdeep all the time. So the thing that we learn, most precious treasure, is time. That should also come down to haunt you. If you're owning property in the realms, in a city, you're going to be taxed. There's going to be all sorts of things that happen. It's going to start tying up your time. Whereas if you're a footloose, fancy-free adventurer, you can call your time your own. And the more you get enmeshed in doing legitimate businesses, the more time it should take you away from adventuring. But you could be really good at it, and you could actually turn the whole campaign, if your players want that sort of campaign, to where they're all wheeler dealers, they're all realtors, or they're all landlords, or they're all money lenders, or investment syndicates, or vulture funds, the realm's equivalent of vulture funds. And you realize, hey, they haven't fought a monster for like months of real time, and they like it, and they're making tons of money, and they're not losing any hit points, and time for a plague to hit the city. Oh, no,
And the other question I would have is, because back when I first started playing in the realms, and because I was always the DM, never the player, everybody wanted to meet the famous characters from the novels, Elminster, Mirth the Moneylender, whoever, Vernon. So how often would they actually get their hands dirty? Now I can see Durnan doing it, or even Mirth, but how often would the more popular or people in charge get their hands dirty in adventures or in the taverns or wherever on a regular basis?
They'd always be somewhere else. They'd always be busy because, hey, they're busy people. They're ruling the world, or they're meeting important people behind closed doors somewhere. And what you do is you do your takeoff on the celebrity of the 1950s and 60s. Where the Frank Sinatra guy with his bodyguards all around him, walking at great rate down a street. They've all got fedoras on. They've all got trench coats. They're in a video. One side, kid, a cartoonist is coming through, or whatever.
It's okay, kid. He's a novelist.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, lady, you call him Dr. Jones.
Yeah,
That's right.
Mr. Sinatra is not signing autographs at this time, says the guy who has taken you. He's placed his hand gently on your lapel and lifted you off the ground so that you have no traction and can't move anywhere on the sidewalk because your feet are dangling off the ground. He says, Mr. Sinatra is very busy at the moment. Try him next Thursday in that nightclub. And of course, that's when he'll be performing, and there's a huge cover charge, and you won't get anywhere near him, but he will be there next Thursday, and you just got the brush off. So they're always busy, and then you can also have the and the easy way if you're a beginning dungeon master and you've never done this before, but you do watch the occasional movie. Remember all those Stan Lee cameos? I have a package for Mr. Stank.
Tony Stank.
or there he is. There's Stan Lee at the casino table saying, "I'll just take all of these over here for safekeeping." So you have your important NPC, your Laurel, your Storm, your Elminster, your whatever, be busy doing something else, and they look up. Oh, well, the same way that Robert Downey Jr. played Tony Stark, all the times when Tom Holland playing Spider-Man was first getting to know him. Kid, here, get me a coffee. Kid, here, hold this. And it's like, what? But I need to talk to you. I'm an adventurer. That's nice. And you do that a bit of it. And if they do something legitimate that would, in character for that NPC, would get the character's attention and get respect, then you give them that moment of respect, where everything stops. And Elminster says, "Excuse me, but I'm interested. That gentleman over there, he can come closer." And you give them their moment. And then you'll discover that they go,
what do I do?
What do I do? What am I going to say to him? Okay, we need to do a timeout. Can we have a bathroom break and a chip dip break? And we're all going to discuss what we're going to say to him. And you let them. But then you sit in on it, and you don't say anything. You just sit in on it. And then that gives you time to prepare what you're going to have Elminster say, because you now know what they're going to try and do and say.
So whenever they did that in my campaign, I always had that when Elminster wasn't there, and Leo was too busy to talk, come back later.
Yeah.
Or when they finally did catch him, I had him beheaded, and they carried the head of Elminster around. But
you got to get ahead in this world.
That's right. Got to get ahead.
How many heads of Elminster are there? Dozen? 2 dozen?
2 dozen. Yeah.
So, but I like this.
That one's a palpable fake. It's a forgery.
It's too soft.
It's too soft. Yeah.
Okay. We're still in the ward, guys. What else is there going to be?
You're on the docks.
Well, do we talk about some of the unique locations in Dockward?
Yes.
Like Serpentil's Book of Folios, or the old Zoblob shop, which is
the old Zoblob shop. My favorite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the number of things that were hidden in Stuff Beholder, aside from the wands and everything that were used as the shop defenses, but the number of things that were hidden in there, and the number of player characters who got embarrassed because they had sort of stood on somebody's shoulders to try and reach into the Stuff Beholder, and they'd gotten caught, and there they were with their hand dangling from their arm, which is up to the shoulder inside the Stuff Beholder, and the proprietor is standing looking up them saying, "Yes, was there something?"
I guess what gets me is there are so many.
And then a voice from inside the Beholder says, "Can I eat this one, boss? Really? Can I eat this one? How about this one? She's awfully juicy. Can I eat this one?"
Oh my god.
That's a little less disturbing than the, "Can you go a little more to the left?"
Yes.
I would wonder how many places have, hidden what's the word I want? Temple would be too broad a term. It's more if there are, pop-up chapels.
Yes, the
or
cult chapel.
Various some cults.
Pop-up chapel.
Yeah, the upper floor, the upper room. You rent premises above a shop or whatever, and that's where you have your sacrifice this month because Lady Blatterblatt was so annoyed with what you did to her carpet. The blood all over it. You're never doing that again. Find some other place to play. So they have.
And you owe her 500 gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But George, you were saying, do you have anything fleshed out you want to share?
Oh no, it's just nothing fleshed out. I mean, it's fleshed out plenty in the Volo's Guide in terms of those locations, but it's just a question of how they're used in play. Like one of the interesting things about the Zoblob shop is that the proprietor is an interesting, formidable guy, but I think his wife is far more interesting. She's a fairly high level priestess of Selune, and she likes adventurers. And like sponsoring adventuring groups.
Dinner. No.
Always want to know what goes in the moon pie. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
The penguin.
La 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 la.